Today we're gonna do a bit of a belated February wrap-up. I read quite a few books in February. I didn't actually count, so give me a second. 11 books. I think I only listened to 4 of them on audio. Most of them were like ebook reads, or a couple were physical books. I did have a couple rereads, so that might be partially why. I feel like he's being really loud. Buddy. But let's just talk about these books real quick before Harvey can munch on his bone again. First off, I had My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. I believe this was just released in January or February. End of January, early February. So I read it pretty quickly. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. So I guess at that point there weren't really many reviews out yet, so I didn't really know what exactly to think. I was excited about it because I do like a lot of Alice Feeney's thrillers. I do really like thrillers in general, and this one has a pretty fun concept. We have a wife. We have a woman who recently moved to this town, kind of isolated, feels like a small town, and one day she goes out for a run, and when she returns, her key doesn't work in the lock, and there's some other woman there claiming to be her. So a bit of a case of stolen identity, and what the heck is going on? Is our main character the one going crazy, thinking she was this woman? Or making up this whole life story for herself that was just fake? Or has this woman somehow weaseled her way into her life and replaced her? And how is her husband involved exactly? Is he being threatened? Is he behind this? We don't know. So I think that was pretty fun. I did enjoy it. I gave it 3.75 stars. I lowered it just a bit because I remember being very confused about what was going on. I might have been less confused if I read it physically. I was listening to an audio. I did like the audiobook. It did confuse me a little bit because it wasn't a dramatized, audiobook or anything, but there were a few elements sprinkled in there. You heard her running, and you heard her breathing, but it wasn't constantly. But you hear that at the very beginning when she's running, and that kind of threw me off a little bit. So I was what kind of... I was is this... did I pick up the wrong audiobook? Because I don't usually read the dramatized ones, but it wasn't. All that to say, the audiobook was good, but I think I was more confused reading it than I would have if I read it physically, though I did see other people who were confused. So it might be just a bit of a case of that's what happens when you don't know if your main character is crazy or this other woman is crazy, and there's just a lot of weird identity things going on. I hope he's not being too loud. I feel like he's being really loud. Stop it, buddy. He's mad at me now. I just wrote all of my books down in my reading log. I have not been good of keeping track of my books in this little reading journal. I'm not really good at journaling. I've tried it multiple times, and I just can't. Not even books, other than goodreads. Okay. So next I read Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven, and this book I had heard a little bit about before I read it, and I feel I saw a lot of people who were really excited to read it and then were very disappointed. So I was a little scared going into it. I held back for a few months maybe from reading it. I was worried I wouldn't like it, but I did really like it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't perfect. but I had a lot of fun with it, and I feel like it's kind of what I wanted it to be. I think it is compared to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I love Addie LaRue, so it's always a little bit like, do we want to compare this to a book I love? But I do see the similarities. I think the vibe is pretty similar, and I mean, I think if something has a similar vibe to Addie LaRue, I'm gonna like it. It did get a little strange at the end, but if you don't know, Our Infinite Fates is basically our two main characters are like fated to murder each other constantly. So they murder each other and then they come back to life in like the next second, basically. And then they murder each other again, and they do that for eternity. And you like go through different time periods watching them murder each other, and you learn new things slowly about what's going on. So our main character has no idea what's going on, like why they're killing each other. So, moving along. Next I read Never by Jessa Hastings, and I do have this book right here. So I made a very small dent in my physical TBR reading this one. And it is a very pretty book. And I kind of knew going into this that it wasn't going to be the best to read because I read it because it's the lowest rated book on my shelf. But I did like it a lot more than I thought I would. So I was like really excited while I was reading it. And I've already talked about this a bunch of times. But oh my goodness, this book makes me so angry. I would say I can't put into words how angry this book makes me, because it was going so well, and I think it could have been a great book, but Jessa Hastings wanted this to be a series, and I did not realize that it was a series when I was reading it. I don't know how, because I wasn't like updating it on Goodreads while I read, and on Goodreads it very clearly says that it's the first book in the Never series. I don't know. Maybe I thought it would be like interconnected standalones or something. But I was expecting a solid ending at the end of this, and there was not. And I don't even know if the next book is coming out. It feels like Jessa Hastings has just given up on this series because she said she was going to release it in November, and it's not out yet. It's been like 4 months. At least. Anyways, I don't even know what the next book is called. I feel like Jessa Hastings' writing is different. So it's always like a bit of an adjustment when I start reading her books. Just like not what I'm used to reading. But I do end up really liking her writing style as I get into it. So I was really enjoying this. And I love reading about toxic relationships. So that was great. And I was really excited to just like put Peter Pan in his place. Because, I mean, it becomes very clear very quickly that Peter Pan is just scum. Very toxic. I mean, he's like a man-child. He's young forever. Like, what do you expect? It really disappointed me. Nothing happened in this. Like, things happened, but nothing changed. It just felt pointless. It was really good writing and a lot of potential, but it felt pointless. Anyways. So I gave it 3 stars at first because I liked it for most of the book. And I bumped it down to 2.5 because that feels fair. Because it's not like, not bad writing. I was like having fun while I was reading it, but it's nothing. This is not a book. This is like half of a book. When the series is finished, I feel like I can rate the series as a whole, like once there's actually an ending, but right now I just feel like it's incomplete, and I can't give it anything other than 2.5. I could talk about that book forever, but I need to move along. So next we have The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. And I also read The Perfect Divorce right after this. It was fun. I've read a few Geneva Rose books and none of them like quite hit for me, but I think this is the best of the ones I've read by her. I don't know, I just feel like all her books are a little funky. They're all like romance thrillers, which doesn't really make sense to me, but yeah. I think The Perfect Marriage was a lot better than The Perfect Divorce. or at least half a star better. I think I gave The Perfect Marriage 3.5 stars and The Perfect Divorce 3 stars. I just feel like, I don't even remember. I guess The Perfect Marriage was like intriguing and interesting, and then The Perfect Divorce, I don't even remember how it ended. I haven't thought about it in a while. But it's like, it just feels like the same thing over again in a sense. Like, why are we going through this hassle again? Like, why is our person in 2 of these like court cases? But The Perfect Marriage was fun. I think the ending in a sense was fun and shocking. Okay, next I read Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck, and this was another one that I picked up mainly because I liked the cover. It was like a comic book style cover and it was fun looking. I'm not into age gap romances though, so I don't know why I picked it up. It doesn't really make much sense. I like the cover. I will say I think it is the best kind of age gap romance because I feel like we weren't focused on the age gap part of it as much as just the fact that they were in like different stages of life. And I think they could have been there even if they were the same age. Because like he has a kid and she doesn't. So it's more just navigating dating someone with a kid. And I didn't think that was so bad. So yeah, I like barely noticed the age gap part of it. Maybe for that reason, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 3.75, 4 stars. Our main character is like into comic book design. I mean, her dad like collected comic books and she was always interested in reading and like writing comic books. And her being like a nerd in that sense was fun because it's also something that she shared with her like the love interest. He was more into Star Wars or something. I forget. But he was also kind of nerdy. So I like that element. And then we have my first reread of the month, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Of course, I reread this because it's now a movie, which I haven't seen yet, but my friends have, and I don't know how I feel about it. From what I hear, it's pretty different from the book. Like, I think they go to, like, Barcelona or something instead of California for the wedding. That was, like, they were, like, dying in the heat, and there was a lot of problems because of how hot it was, and they were, like, there in California, like, in the summer. But they were in Barcelona in the movie, which I don't think gets nearly as hot as where they were in California. So, like, and also it's kind of weird to complain when you're in Barcelona. But I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say much. So I remember not necessarily not liking the book that much the first read, but it just wasn't my favorite Emily Henry book. So I was kind of like, like I want to reread it because I want to watch the movie, but at the same time, I'd rather reread Funny Story. But, however, I really liked it a lot more the second time around. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's just my state of mind. I don't know what state of mind I was in the first time I read the book, but the second time through, I loved it. Maybe it's because I knew how it ended and I understood their miscommunication, or, you know, why they weren't, like, together from the beginning. I understood that a little better the second time through, maybe. I don't know. But I just went ahead and gave it 5 stars. Sometimes I feel like just rereading books that I enjoy just gives me, like, a comfy, cozy feeling. And that just overshadows any reservations I had about giving a 5-star. Makes it shoot up. So I thought the romance was really sweet, and I'm just trying to remember their names. Alex? I feel like it's Alex. His name's Alex, isn't it? Yeah, Poppy and Alex. I just think Alex was so sweet and I loved him. I guess Poppy was fine. I think Alex was better. I had so much fun with it. I loved it. I think it's on Netflix. Like, you would think I would read it and then watch the movie immediately after, because that's why I read the book again, but I didn't watch the movie. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. Anyways, then I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, so another reread to watch the movie. And I also put off watching the movie because I put it on hold at my library, but it was like for the physical book, and so I can't like suspend the hold, and then like I got it. And I was like, well, now I have it and I have to read it. Like, I was gonna put it off until The Housemaid was like on streaming services so that I could watch it at home. But I recently went to the US and it was on the Virgin Atlantic movie options. So I did watch it. And I did not like the movie. I might do a video about it, but I just feel like the movie tried too hard to follow the book, like, scene for scene. Like, I feel like nearly everything that was in the book was in the movie until the ending. All of a sudden at the ending, there were just, like, the most random differences in the movie. And there was also, like, way too much nudity, and, I mean, it got really bloody at the end, which was disturbing, but it made sense. But yeah, a lot of nudity, and I have no idea why. Like, I don't think that was the point of the book, but maybe because they had Sydney Sweeney as Millie, they were like, yeah, let's just have her be naked. I don't know. Yeah, so the movie was, but the book was fantastic. I feel like I just love the book a lot more on the second read. I don't remember what I gave it the first read through. Somewhere between 4 and 5 stars. It might have only been 4.5, but the second time through, I gave it 5 stars. Again, I don't know if it was just like comfy, cozy reading a book that I really loved again. I mean, it's a great book, and it's really fast paced, and I just devoured it. It was so good. If you haven't read The Housemaid, highly recommend. A great thriller. It does get kind of gory at the end. Surprised me a bit on my first read through. Yeah, it's intense. So good. Okay. Anyways, then I read The Last Murder at the End of the World. I didn't write the author down. I think it's like Steve or something. Stuart Turton. I knew it started with a T, like an S-T. Yeah. Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I like this. I listened to it on audio, and I think if I was reading it physically again, it would have made a lot more sense. But I also know that a lot of other people who read it were also very confused. I think that's the point. And I agree with other people I've seen who have said that this book is probably something that would be a lot better on a second read through. And when I was like 60-70% of the way through, I did go back to the beginning and like read the first chapter, or like the prologue and maybe the first chapter physically, and I feel like it made a lot more sense that way. Like when I read through it the first time on audio, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, they just throw you in there, and I'm like, what is the murder? Like, whose murder are we trying to solve? Like, I think it takes a minute before we actually get to the murder mystery bit, and it's very strange because it's like it's an end of the world situation, and you don't know how anything works. Like, why are we at the end of the world? What is this, like, island we're on? What is this technology we're using? Who are these people? Like, I feel like you know absolutely nothing. And then you slowly learn as you read, and now I feel like I understand everything that was going on. But while I was reading it, I had no clue what the heck was happening. I definitely think a second read through would be more enjoyable because I would understand what was happening, but the first read through I gave it like 3.5 stars because I did start to understand what was going on, so it was like a little more enjoyable. And I do think it's really well written. I love good writing. I don't even care. But good writing I need to enjoy a book. And I think this was written really well. But yeah, just very confusing. Which maybe that was the point. I don't know. But 3.5 stars. I would probably read it physically so you can spend more time absorbing it. Not that the audiobook wasn't great. I did enjoy the audiobook. I always enjoy audiobooks. Unless it's a romance. I do not like romance audiobooks. Unless it's Carabesto. But I mean, all in all, basically all the books I read this month were good. Except for Never. It was good, but it was not good. Anyways. But 2 more books left. Next I read Babel by R.F. Kuang. I know. It's taken me so long to read this book. I was looking at Goodreads because I started reading it like in 2025, and I never like moved it off my currently reading shelf, so it just says it took you like a year to read this. Like, yeah. I did pick it up like right where I left off though. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, but I feel like I remembered absolutely everything that happened, even though it had been almost a year since I started reading it. So I think that speaks to how well it's written and how much it sticks in your mind. And I did really enjoy it. I feel like all of R.F. Kuang's books are a little dense, and they're kind of a lot. They talk a lot about like real issues, which in one sense is great, and I think it was really well done in this book. But yeah, I don't want every single book to be that real. But I did really enjoy this one. I gave it 5 stars. I couldn't give it anything less. I loved it. I thought the ending was crazy, but everything just really came together. And I mean, it's basically all about like racism and stupid white people. That was all described very well. And I think all the characters were so multi-layered and so well thought out and well done. I don't really know what to say. I was thinking of comparing, and I might still, comparing Babel to the Poet Empress. I haven't read the Poet Empress yet, but I just feel like their magic systems felt a little similar. But I think it's really just on the surface, because I don't think these books are going to be anything alike. I mean, I feel like I could have said that before I read Babel, but after reading Babel, even though I haven't read the Poet Empress yet, I just really don't think they're going to be anything alike. And if they were, that would just be strange. And I would be confused why everybody's obsessed with the Poet Empress. Because, in Babel, like, the magic is from using different translations, and, like, and the Poet Empress is, like, poems. Poems create magic. I don't know how exactly. It's probably like a spell. I don't know. But I just think it will be very different. I mean, it's really not the same magic system. They just both use words. It just kind of felt similar to me. But I think it's just at the magic system level, and probably not even that much. I think the plots are going to be very different. But who knows? Anyways, lastly, I read Caught Up by Navisa Allen. This is the second book to Lights Out. I mean, I liked Lights Out. I gave it like 3 stars. But yeah, it didn't blow me away. And I did start to read Caught Up before, and I just couldn't get into it, or it just like wasn't quite what I was feeling. But I decided to read it now for some reason. I don't really know why. I did notice that like Probably Smut was making a special edition of it, and so a lot of people over there were like reading it because of that, and it just felt like a good time. I was like re-excited to continue with the series, even though I liked Lights Out, but like not really enough to be that compelled to continue the series. And I didn't really like Caught Up that much either. Like, it was fine, it just wasn't anything special. It was 3 stars. I never know how to describe my feelings for like a 3-star book, because I don't think 3 stars is necessarily bad, but it also, I mean, it's not the best. So it's like I liked it, like it wasn't painful to read, but I also like just didn't really care that much. So in that sense, was it bad? Maybe, I don't know. I was kind of excited to be like done with it. I think especially at the end. I think the ending was, I don't really remember what happened. I think there were like a few chapters at the end, like after things wrapped up, that just felt pointless, and I didn't care. I don't know. We'll see if I continue the series. I think the next book might be the last one. So maybe in like a year or 2, I'll finish it. We'll see. I'm not in a rush, but I'm also not like definitely not gonna finish the series. Which also makes me think of like Prison Healer, because that one I also gave 3 stars. I also gave the Prison Healer 3 stars, but I will not be continuing that series. I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe I am in a similar spot with both of them, in that like I'm not really interested in continuing, but like I'm not completely against reading the next book. I just have other books I would rather read, so unlikely that I will continue anytime soon for either of them. But yeah. Anyways, that was the last book I read, so I should wrap this up. But overall, I had a really great reading month. I gave 3 books 5 stars, which is crazy. I feel like a lot of times I really hold back on giving books 5 stars. I don't know. It's always like, oh, you can always do better. That's what it reminds me of. In like art class and like writing or any kind of like project where it's like, I don't want to give you 100% because then there's no room for growth. And that's what not giving books 5 stars feels like sometimes. It's like, oh, it could always be better. So sometimes I feel like that's why I don't give books 5 stars, and that is annoying. and then I try to like be better. And I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't want to overthink the 5 stars. If I feel it in my soul that deserves it, I'm just gonna give it to them. I don't, at this moment, I'm sticking with 5 stars for them, not like 6 stars. So, I mean, 6 stars is really, truly above and beyond, but maybe the next reread of them, they will move up to 6 stars. We'll see. But yeah, overall, fantastic reading month. This was my lowest one, and only because I'm angry, and because it's just not finished. That's how I feel. Yeah, it hardly even counts as a book that I read this month because I didn't finish it. Anyways, that's it. That's all I have. I hope you guys also had a great reading month. I hope you're finding a lot of 5-star reads, and I hope the rest of your reading year is fantastic. I hope we just recently heard that ACOTAR is getting 2 more books this year, which, oh my goodness, very excited about that. Talk about a series that I love and I'm very excited to reread, and we'll see if on the second read through, I mean, a lot of the books I already gave 5 stars, but we'll see if they go up more. Congrats to everybody who's an ACOTAR fan for 2 amazing, exciting books this year. Hopefully they're great. Anyways. Okay. Bye.